Yo, 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 we here with another edition. Yo, yo, yeah, peace. We here with another edition of Mental Wealth, where we kick life is business and business is what? War. So in this edition of Mental Health, we're going to be talking about infrastructure. What is infrastructure? And this is going to coincide with um, my system of Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. So we're gonna build on the part about infrastructure, and we're gonna get right to it. Short, sweet, straight to the point. Not a lot of we don't have a lot of fluff, no fluff, straight raw as we kick it over here at Mental Wealth, the podcast Mental Wealth. And so what is infrastructure? And before I go into that, just give you a little life expression. Or I was just on the phone with one of my business coaches. And yes, I have business coach, more than three. I have maybe four. I got like four business coaches, where we constantly consulting, I'm constantly talking with them, getting insight from their experience, from their perspective, and different aspects of business. I have business coaches that deal with, from a business standpoint of credit, capital. I have actually two business coaches that deal with that side. I have business coaches that deal with banking relationships, entrepreneurship, insight, which they deal with a lot of people. So my business coaches, they deal with a lot of other people. I'm not their only client. So it's other clients that they have. And so they're dealing with clients that's billionaires, millionaires. They're dealing with clients on high network level of business. Um, and so, and at the same time, I'm dealing with college professors. I'm dealing with professors in college that's dealing with mastery of business administration, in the business school. So I'm getting all of that at one time. And as I'm getting all of that, I'm transferring that information over to you, to my listeners, even to my partners and my clients as well. My clients, this is the value that they get to get. So that's why they pay me what they pay me. I'm able to charge 7,500, to 29.97, or 29.97 to 7,500 to 15K for my life and business strategy, in coaching partners and in dealing with consulting. So nevertheless, let me get to what I'm talking about today. Infrastructure. What is infrastructure? So, you see two words there, infra and structure. INFAR, infra, and then structure. That's what makes up the word infrastructure. So structure, we know, is something that is like put together as something that is formed a certain way, a certain form, a design. Um, And so that's what you're looking at, like structure, something that, because you look at something that doesn't have a form and then is given a form. So that's structure, putting some type of organization to something that does not have organization, or taking something that has one form and putting it in another form. Like that's like restructure. More than likely that would be restructure. Yeah. So we're saying infrastructure. So infra is dealing with something that's below. So when you say infrastructure, you're talking about the foundation that really you don't see a lot of times. So it's the base that everything else is built on, the infrastructure. It's basically like the skeleton of a body. That's infrastructure. And so when I say life biz infrastructure, I'm talking about the knowledge base, the foundation of your life, the foundation of your business. And so that goes back to what the whole podcast is: mental wealth. The mind is the foundation to every aspect of what you got going on in your interactions in the world. And you can say it's other things that's connected to the mind, or, some people will say spirit, energy, all these different terms to explain something that's at the base, that's at the foundation, that everything else is based off of. So when we're looking at life and business infrastructure, the infrastructure of your life is your mind, the mental, and what type of mind thoughts you have determines the output of how you live, how you make your decisions in your life and ultimately in your business. So, um, with my system, it's Wizetics, and Wizetics is the strategic system where it's showing you how the mind operate with partnership in the body, and how do you benefit from understanding the operations, the mechanics of the mind, the mechanics of business. So today we're going to be looking at infrastructure from the aspect of life and business on the level of credit. So credit is something a lot of people may not understand. And when I say a lot of people, meaning that it's a vast majority of people who don't even operate with credit. They just operate straight from cash. And when you're going into business, you're going to have to understand the operations of credit. When you're in a for-profit business, non-profit business, any of aspects of business, you're going to have to know, how does credit operate? What is the mechanics of credit? What is credit? So, the credit system has been around for some time. It's been around for thousands of years, but the form that it exists in now, it hasn't been around that long. The credit system that exists today, meaning that you got the credit card system, and then you got like the credit line, which is different than credit card. Some people might not know that. And of course, there's other podcasts, it's other people who that's what they emphasize and what they talk about. They talk about, credit repair. They talk about credit structuring, credit profile, all of those things, how to establish credit, how to apply for credit, how to leverage credit to capital, which is some of the things that I coach on as well. But I just don't put that like something that is in the forefront of just teaching people, because you gotta have the right mindset first. See, if you start teaching people, oh, this is what you do to get credit, and then you get the credit, and you can do this with the credit as far as obtain access to capital and all of that, and an individual don't understand life and business, then they go and get access to this stuff and end up in a real messed up situation, such as you end up in debt. And then you know you didn't went and bought a lot of stuff really that you can't afford for real, and then these things fall back on you, where you find yourself in debt, bad debt, because all debt is not necessarily bad. You got good debt and bad debt. And so this is where we start talking about life-biz infrastructure, Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. And so with me being a life-biz infrastructure strategist, it's about showing people how to maneuver tactically. What type of tactics are you using when it comes to credit, or when it comes to um, establishing your infrastructure and building upon your infrastructure. So let's get right to this part right here. Um, so you got personal credit, you got business credit, and then you got corporate credit. Those are the three main layers of credit: personal, business, corporate. And a lot of times, most people just know about personal credit, meaning that they are aware of it, they heard about it. You might not find a lot of people who know how to utilize it and leverage it for business purposes, because everybody's not an entrepreneur. So business credit doesn't come up as a subject to most people unless they are in the field of entrepreneurship. Like they are actually operating a company themselves. Like they got their own company, they started their company, and they went and set up a business checking account and all of that. And so now they're looking to go extend, add on to their business, which would be business credit. Going to get business credit cards, going to set up business credit lines, and setting up corporate uh, credit, establishing corporate credit with businesses like net 30s and things like that. And so that's like infrastructure though. That's life-biz infrastructure. On the life side, the infrastructure in this sense would be your personal credit, getting your personal credit in order. And so what does credit mean in this case? It means that this is the amount of money that I can pay later. Meaning that, okay, I can get this product, this service without paying anything right now, and I can pay it back at another time. And then the catch in that is interest that attached to that if you don't pay it back within a certain period of time. And when you're looking at just a personal credit card, using a personal credit card, that's usually like within like a 30-day range. You're paying it back within a 30-day range before it activates interest. And so that's where the real strategy comes in. This is why it's so important to know how to utilize personal credit. And this is where having the right mindset. This is where mental wealth starts at on the business side, right? Mental wealth. Because when you are not able to manage your finances, it produces stress. It produces what? Anxiety. It produces depression. These things come from mismanagement. It comes from a lack of discipline. And all of that comes from the lack of knowledge. And in some cases, even though you can have the knowledge, you're not applying the knowledge accordingly. So this is why it's important to have coaches. This is why it's important to have people that you're connected to help reinforce this information, to make it become normalized, a lifestyle. So now it becomes a part of your everyday routine of being focused on navigating through society with your life and your business for what? Success. So this is what it's all about. How do you know, have success in these things? Because everything costs in some shape or form, whether it will cost you time or money. Time, money, energy, all these things are associated with that type of cost. Everything is associated with some type of cost, meaning that something has a value exchange proposition associated with it. Yeah, I said that right. But so it's like this right here: supply, demand, give, take, push, pull. That's the dynamics of life. There is a supply, there is a demand. That's just how life is set up. The push pull mechanics of life, right? And so the more you understand that, the better off you are with being able to obtain success and maintain success. Because, sometimes you could reach success and not keep success. So what we are talking about is being able to reach success and keep success. This is what Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure is about. Reaching success and keeping success. Not just reaching it, because You can grasp it, get a hold of it, and then do what? Lose it. And sometimes that might just be a part of your growth and development, that you reach a level of success or you obtain certain success and then you lose certain aspects of it. That's okay. Yet if your success was based off of you having the right knowledge, which means that even if you reach that success and lose that success, you have the ability, you have the capability to regain that success again. Because why? You have the knowledge, you have the means of knowing how to do it again. Because this is where infrastructure come in. Infrastructure. See, infrastructure allows you to be able to repeat something over and over and over. So we're talking about structure plus systems plus flow equals infrastructure. Your infrastructure is you having a structure, you having a system, and you having a flow that can be what? Repeated. So now it's consistency. This is a constant repetition going on. It's systemized, it's systemic. So when you don't the right information about this, you be stuck. You just stuck. You got a lot of ideas, you got a lot of drive. I want to do this. And sometimes you might just be moving, but it's really not productive movement. So we talking about the economy of motion now. Because now it's relevant, useful movement, the input matching the output. Because sometimes you could be putting a lot of input in one area or doing something over and over, though. No, you could be doing something over and over and it's not producing growth. So it's like, a hamster on, you're just running in place. You could be on a treadmill running in place. You're exerting a lot of energy. Your energy is being exerted. You're feeling tired. You're doing something. Now, but are you making any progress when I'm saying motion, which talking about traveling from one distance to another distance, making progress of reaching a destination that you have a set goal? Because yeah, you could just be running on a treadmill. Say, I just want to work out. I want to do cardiovascular, pump my heart pumping, exercise, and running on the treadmill is good for that. But now when we're talking about you're striving to travel the distance of one spot to another spot, location, that calls for you to make motion, running in place or moving forward, then moving backwards, taking a fall and not getting back up and seeing where you went wrong or made the wrong decision at the wrong time or made the right decision at the wrong time. You can make the right decision at the wrong time. So we're talking about being right and exact. These things got to be evaluated, right? So infrastructure, you having the right infrastructure, Life-Biz infrastructure. This is what allow you to make continuous progress, consistent progress. Not saying that you won't take a setback, not saying you won't stumble. But when we are talking about Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure, we are talking about turning stumbling blocks to stepping stones, coming from underserved to unstoppable. That's what we're talking about. So let's get back to this part right here. Your personal credit, business credit, corporate credit. How do these things operate? It's all based off of personal credit, your personal credit, your ability to pay back, your reputation for paying back on time or managing payment. This is how you get evaluated by the credit system. This is the system that's out there. You get evaluated by these systems, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Then they got other little, parts of that systems as well that do evaluations, different systems of evaluation. And the more you understand these systems of evaluation, the more you're able to make informed decisions that benefit you in your life and your business. And a lot of times this information is not like readily available to you when you didn't grow up with this inside your household. If this information wasn't something that was a normal part of your upbringing inside of your household, and even if it was, and if it wasn't, the information or the knowledge wasn't transferred to you, then you don't know how to utilize it. You don't know how to utilize these systems. You don't know how to navigate through these systems. You don't know how to benefit. And you could be going through something that you don't have to go through. Remember, I said how gravity operates on you, whether you know how it operates or not, whether you have knowledge of gravity or not, doesn't stop gravity from doing what gravity does. And that's how these systems exist. Just because you don't know how credit works doesn't mean it is not working. And in most cases, you are losing out on certain things that you don't have to lose out on just because you don't know how it operates. So this is why getting the right information is so important. It's very important because things are moving at light speed. Things are transpiring fast. Systems are changing. You got different technologies coming out. And if you are not dealing with the basics, which is infrastructure, like if you don't have a basic foundation, you gonna end up like a dinosaur. Like you're gonna be just like extinct. You're gonna be wondering why you are so frustrated. Why are you dealing with so much anxiety and depression? It's because you just don't know what you don't know. And even if you do know, you don't have the strategy to maneuver within a society of competitors. It's a competitive market. So it's a competitive market where, your lack of knowledge becomes someone else's benefit sometimes. Your ignorance, you being illiterate, could have you being subjected to predatory situations where people are benefiting off your ignorance. They're benefiting off your lack of discipline, meaning that you have some people, they will give you certain things such as credit, and you are not disciplined enough to know how to use it. And then what? You end up being in debt to the point where you can really pay what you need to pay for what you bought on credit, which now takes away from you being able to pay your bills. So all of these things become dangerous. And these things could have you, drop down into a hole, a dark hole, which produces overwhelming stress, overwhelming pressure on your brain. So mental wealth starts with being able to have the right knowledge. As I always say, the proper education always corrects error. So that's peace, having a certain peace inside yourself. So let's get into the part about life is business, business is war when it comes to this infrastructure. So your life infrastructure on this type of time is getting your credit right, your credit profile, right? Then now, if you're an entrepreneur and then you leveraging your personal credit with your business credit, and then you taking that and you're establishing also from your business corporate credit. This is scaling up to a level where you're able to obtain economic leverage to be able to live a lifestyle where you are able to produce generational wealth. That's how these things take place. So now we're talking about how do you develop wealth? So within this society, it's like three major ways that wealth is established, meaning that through these avenues, you can obtain economic wealth, which is through entrepreneurship, real estate, and investing. Investing in stocks, bonds, you got crypto, you got different minerals, you got agriculture. You can invest in different things in the market. This is how wealth is established. in the United States: real estate, entrepreneurship, investing, right? And in some cases, you got to utilize all three. This is just what it is. You can accept it or reject it. You say, well, I'm not really into that. I don't want it. Okay. You have a choice that you can make to say that you don't want to be involved in that. And that's okay for you to make that decision. Yet, just like gravity exists, whether you know how it works or not, it's still going to do what it do. That's how it is in society. The best thing to do is to learn the proper information, right? And it starts with learning how to deal with um your thoughts, how to manage your emotions, how to navigate challenges in life. And so this goes back to what? Your infrastructure, your knowledge base. What foundation of life do you stand on? Because your knowledge base is where you make your decisions from, whatever you stand on. And I'm not I did an episode on that before when was talking about investing in yourself and just going into how decisions are made and how to deal with challenges and obstacles and how you navigate these things and achieve a peace of mind, because keeping a peace of mind is the main thing that you're going to have to keep as you travel through everything else. Infrastructure. Life is infrastructure. Your foundation, your knowledge base. That's the most vital part that you have to get in order to have wealth, mental wealth, the wealth of your mental. Because if you think about it, right, these things are like domino effect, chain reaction. One thing leads to another thing and leads to another thing. One thing connected to one thing that's connected to another thing. That's a holistic connection, right? And when you don't really take the time to examine these things from a realistic point of view that's connected to real time, because all you got to do, right, is look at where you are uneasy at. Like, can you listen to this type of conversation about life and business? Does it make you feel uneasy? Or when you hear conversations about credit, or when you hear conversations about entrepreneurship, or if you hear somebody talk about an income statement, a balance sheet, or a budget, does that make you feel uneasy? Like, it doesn't probably stimulate any type of pleasure sense in you when you hear, oh, an income statement, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement, or 700 credit score, or business credit, or corporate credit. Stimulate your pleasure sense, but some other stuff might do, such as, what Diddy, how much time does Diddy got? Um, you know, the Epstein files, all that stuff may excite your pleasure sense. Like, yeah, you want to listen to that. You want to engage in conversations about that. But none of those things have any weight on your day-to-day life and business, unless you're into that to make money off of it. Unless you got a podcast with a gossip column, and all you do is just talk about current events like that on your podcast, and you got people that's giving you money and funding that, and you got ads and stuff. Yeah, okay, that makes sense for you, but for the people that's listening to it, does it really make sense to them in their everyday life? Now, of course, you can have certain things that you do for leisure time. Take certain time of your day and do certain things that give you that pleasure sense. Oh, I feel good. And this right here, this is where the discipline comes in. Having the discipline to know how to manage your time and make sure that you prioritize. Yeah, we had some technical difficulties right there in what I was saying, right? So that's how that goes right there. But yeah, life is business, business is war. Life is business and business is what? War. So you gotta have strategies, tactics, and maneuvers. That's what we gotta have. Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. Make sure you get this. You need this in your arsenal. You need this right here in your game book, your playbook, in your strategy sessions. Wizetics OS. And that's just the basics right there. It gets deeper. It gets greater later as we continue to add on and build on that. Yeah, we had some. Oh wow. Yeah, we got some technical difficulties going on over here in the studio today. It's all good though. We keep it moving because challenges, obstacles. That's a part of growth and development. It's all how you handle it, right? It's all how you handle conflict, how you manage conflict. That's the best part. And so we're gonna come back later for more episodes of mental wealth. Like I said, it gets greater later, more information, more useful information, more relevant information, impactful information, and innovation so that you could become a leader in your marketplace. Wherever you are in your life, in your business, you become a thought leader. You're able to become a subject matter expert and take these things that you learn here, the information you get, and take it to another level. Pass it on to someone else, help you bring more value to you, more value added to your offer or whatever you got going on in your life. That's what about with Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure, because we're going up constantly, constant elevation, and we taking you with us. That's what it's about. It's equality. We taking you with us because the thing about real business, right? A real, genuine, righteous business model is I eat, you eat, I eat. We eat together. We all share in the resources. When you know how to properly manage the resources, we all share in this success. Your success becomes my success. My success becomes your success. That's Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. That's the economy that we are fashioning, and we navigating through one space to help shape and mold another space. That's what we are coming with. It's certain information that, a lot of people don't have access to. Then there's some information that's out there, but we're not paying attention to. So it's my, thing. It's up to me from my perspective. I provide information. I get this information from different places that you might not be concerned about. And then I formalize it, I package it in a way that's digestible for you to be able to receive the information, digest it, and utilize the information in your life and business. That's what it is with Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure. When you're dealing with Wize, I'm providing you information that you can use, the information that you normally probably wouldn't pay attention to, information that it probably wouldn't come across your radar based off how you might be traveling through your journey. Yet with me in the position that I hold and my purpose in life is I get this information, process this information, filter out this information, package this information so that you can use it in a way that is beneficial to you right now, here, and after, into the future. Because the babies are the greatest. So we make a world where the children are able to grow up and be nourished to be able to activate their potential. And this is how we bring about a shift in society where right now you see a lot of people dealing with mental illness. You see a lot of people dealing with poverty. So it's a lot of people that's faced with these circumstances that they don't have to be. They don't have to be faced with these circumstances. That's the part that gets very critical. It's some things that we experience that we don't have to experience. And so it's my job, it's my duty to provide knowledge and information that will allow people to rise above these circumstances. and most of all, be able to make a better situation for the young. That's what it is for me. I'm not here to like put stuff out there and blood suck the people. Oh, I got an offer for $20,000, $30,000, and I'm trying to blood suck the people with this offer, and I'm just regurgitating some information that I really don't even use myself, but I'm just like a salesman. I'm trying to just sell this stuff just to make money, but really not be impactful in changing the lives of people in a realistic way that gets our environment, that where we live, to be more of a livable place. That's what it is with me. You know, of course, yeah, I do have those offers too, but those offers are more for the leaders. See, I work on a level where the underdog is, but I also work on a level where you can find the elite at, because these people need guidance. They need wise counsel. So that's what I offer. I offer wise counsel to politicians. I offer wise counsel to bank executives. I offer wise counsel to um, high-level entrepreneurs, but I also offer wise counsel to the layperson. I offer wise counsel to the underserved underdog in the ghetto, um, struggling, striving to make it from one second to the next, let alone one day to the next day. Might be just striving to make it from one second to the next second, dealing with certain traumas. So my position is a holistic position, from the low to the high, from the high to the low. This is what you get with Wize. I'm bringing you something that is different than a lot of other people, because some people may just focus on the high network individuals, like high level rich people, and then some people might just focus on the low lay person, someone that's deep down in the struggle. And so they provided nonprofit services, charitable services, striving to give them a way to make it from one second to the next second. So what I do is I bridge the gap. So I'm able to speak to a gangster. I'm able to speak to a politician. And in most cases, they're the same. Both of them gangsters for real. It kind of like all the same. It's just different level. It's just another level of the same thing. So yeah, this is what it is. Keep coming in, keep tuning in to Wizetics OS Life-Biz Infrastructure system that's being expressed here in the Mental Wealth Podcast. Like, subscribe, keep the support coming, because we're going to keep pushing this information out there for you. We're going to keep it coming. It's nonstop. It's a constant flow, and it's not the same that you used to. It's not the same that you used to, here and here, here and there. I call the people names out. It's not the same as Earn Your Leisure. It's not the same as Myron Gold. It's not the same as Wall Street Trap. It's not the same as John Bryan. It's not the same. What I'm coming with is not the same. Because why? I speak to certain people. I deal with certain people that some of them don't connect to. I'm able to travel on different planes. I've traveled on different planes on different levels. Again, from the lowest level to the highest level is where you see me travel and provide the same information, but it's just expressed according to the audience based off of where they are. So you might see me communicating with a head of state and providing certain information about something, right? You might see me communicating with an individual that's in the street, that's a leader on the street level. Because on everything that I do is from a leadership inspiration. Is to inspire leadership on whatever level you exist on. And so then what we do is we bring the leaders together, because everyone has the potential to be a leader. So your leadership has to be cultivated. So even those that's in high level leadership, meaning that a head of state, that doesn't mean that they have reached a level within their leadership where they don't need wise counsel. You always need wise counsel. Just like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I was just on the phone with one of my coaches. The coach was giving me counsel, right? So we all need counsel in some shape or form. And so some counsel costs money, some counsel costs time, some counsel costs both time and money, right? So it's the value exchange. And when you learn how to understand that system of value exchange, then it allow you to get what you want while providing someone else with what they want, where that is an equal exchange. And we all might not want the same exact thing. So now it's been able to match things in their proper place. And so that's today's episode of Mental Wealth.